My name is Tracy Gibson, and I chose to write about how insomnia and depression can be related, and it's often misdiagnosed or goes untreated. Insomnia is actually like a side effect to depression. Not knowing much about insomnia, it was interesting to see that not all insomnia cases are insomnia but should be tested for depression. If a person takes sleeping pills and has depression, these medications can worsen depression. I like the fact the researchers have found other non medical alternatives to deal with insomnia. Um, with that being said, like meditation, exercising, walking, getting out, and actually tiring the physical body out um, to the point where you're able to relax enough to rest at night. Um, so, growing up, none of this was really talked about. Um, so, a lot of individuals deal with depression on their own, not seeking the help, thinking that, it's a condition in which, for the most part, you can just get over. Um, for more serious cases of depression, because we all go through things, we all have down periods, but it's the periods in life when you tend to stay down and you tend to not be able to get up out of whatever funk you're in. Um, that's why it's interesting to hear and read about different treatment methods as well as drug treatments. I think that depression is the most underdiagnosed psych issue within the African American community. My sister was recently diagnosed with depression, and I remember thinking about how none of us saw the signs. My daughter also suffers from depression. Realizing this was a serious uh, issue and one that couldn't be ignored. Many believe these types of conditions will just get better with time, but it doesn't. My daughter was diagnosed with ADHD a few years ago. Since this time on medicine, it's been trial and error. She has been on several medications due to her weight, and within the last year, she started suffering from depression. And because the medication treatment plan she was on, it wasn't allowing her to sleep. It started with her withdrawing from the family, not sleeping, and school friends. I remember thinking she was suffering from insomnia because she wasn't sleeping, and her mood changes were because she wasn't sleeping. I started to research her medications and look up the side effects and realized it was the meds she was on and she was suffering. She started writing suicide notes and hate lists about herself, and everyone that I confided in didn't take it seriously. Um, Now, I have gotten to a point where, I can be open and honest because if I can help somebody else, that's the plan. My daughter opened my eyes to mental illness and depression, and I was determined to get her the help that she needed. Um, the doctor just kept prescribing her different medications to coincide with the other medications. So, how that works is you have to take a pill to treat the side effects of the other pill. Um, I tried explaining to the doctor how she would have mood changes and severe episodes of depression, and she would just up the dose or prescribe more. So that's when I started to take to um, other alternatives as far as like not seeking just solely prescribed medicine, um, like herbal remedies and what could I do. So like we do a lot of teas, a lot of like, you know, herbal teas as far as mint, lavender, rosemary, that kind of stuff. With research, I found that some disorders are hereditary and can skip generations, basically stating that the biological makeup can play a huge role in a person's mental state. In the case of my daughter, it was about finding the right meds that will work for her. Changing our diet, because I chose to take this walk with her. And, just so she wouldn't feel alone. Um, Unfortunately, this is not the case for many individuals. So most go through the motions ranging from mild to severe behavioral problems. And it can get rough, it can get tiring, and it can be exhausting. For these individuals, I think trial and error causes more harm than good. Most don't get the chance to stop their current medications and try another, which shouldn't be the case anyway. I don't really know what to say other than know what it is you're taking, know the different side effects, and it's okay to ask questions. Don't let, yes, medical professionals are here to do a job. Be involved, because ultimately they have a good one therapy session lasts anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. And mostly that's either twice a week or once a month. They're not with you daily. They're not with your children daily. And that was another big issue I had. Yes, you can explain all day. You can write down details of your day. But to be involved is a whole nother level. Take charge, ask the questions, know what you're taking, know the prescribed medications of what you're taking, know the side effects. And yes, it is tedious, but it's also life-changing. And misdiagnosis can have a dangerous impact on an individual's mental health. You have to understand that you have to treat your mental health just like you would your physical body. According to the National Sleep Foundation, the average American only gets about 6 to 9 hours of sleep anyway. Depression being added to the mix, the chances of an individual acquiring the many hours is slim to none. Sleep disorders do not cause depression, but the lack of sleep is what plays a role in adding to depression. Lack of sleep can make depression worse, especially the inability to sleep for long periods of time, because the sleep is constantly being broken, causing the individual to become irritable and have increased tension. All worsens depression. Normal sleep is it basically restores us back to a relaxed state of mind, rejuvenating the mind and the body. Depression is when an individual has experienced feelings of sadness, hopelessness, worthlessness, helplessness for long periods of time, as I explained before. The depressed moods and its physical symptoms can keep you from living a normal life. Poor sleep can lead to fatigue, which then escalates into poor physical activity and diet. How many of us feel sluggish and weak, when we don't get enough sleep? And it's just the truth. Everything is basically running on low energy, low fuel. When you don't get enough rest, when you're not treating your body, and add that with not even eating right, add that to not even doing physical activity every day, you're running on nothing. Investigators from Norway have documented that insomnia may predispose people to anxiety and depression, just as anxiety and depression may predispose people to insomnia. As the authors notes, insomnia may be an early or even the first symptom of depression and anxiety. Clinicians and their patients should take note. And that's basically, when I was doing the research, that's basically how it ended. Clinicians and their patients should take notes. Like, as I said before, you can take all the notes. You can jot down anything. I just feel like the best way is to be actively involved. Know what you're putting in your body. Take the time out to seek and understand it and know what it is you're doing to yourself. Or even if it's not you, you know, it could be a loved one. In my case, it's a daughter. You know, and I guess what got me, you know, so focused and so keen, because coming from adoption, coming from the state, you don't know everything about what runs in your family. So it's things that I had to learn, questions I had to ask, research that I had to do in order to, you know, most people want to look at it like as in saving my daughter's life, but to me it's saving my daughter's life, because this is, you know, something that she'll battle for the rest of her life, you know. And you just have to be willing to take that journey, you know, help them feel like it's not alone, like they're not alone. Create safe words, continue to have open communication, effective communication. It was a process learning how to talk to one another, how to seek this understanding. How can I help you through this process, basically? And about finding that balance. Like, she would probably take a pill for the rest of her life. But does it have to be several pills? That was that was my main concern. Does it have to? Does she really have to take 4 to 6 pills a day? You know what I'm saying? What can be reduced? So basically, this is what I had to talk about. Thank you for listening. I have no audience, unfortunately. Just me, my notes, a lunch bag. Thank you. I do appreciate you all, and I hope you have a great night.